We're at the John A. Kleber Wildlife Management Area where the Department of Fish and Wildlife has deemed it necessary to improve the habitat of what used to be a very nice eastern red cedar woods. One of the stated goals of this project is to improve a hardwood population, but as you can see, the skidder that they use to get the cedar logs out damages the hardwood as well, and it makes big ruts in the soil. Here I'm on the other side now, and I think it's possible to see the rutted ground a little better, very close to the ephemeral stream bed. Another view of the skidder damage as the skidder goes straight down the hill. I can hear. I'm a rider who lives close to this project area, and my wife and I can hear the chainsaws, and it's devastating for us. It makes our home seem that much smaller now, and my profession too. These cedar trees have helped me with my writing, and they've been my metaphors. I'm going to attempt to walk across this slope and get to the cedar trees that are still standing, so you can have a sense of what an intact woods is like. But I'm going to pause this so you don't have to spend that much time in this dystopian landscape. Okay, we're in the back in the intact woods now. You might be able to hear the chainsaws that just crossed into the boundary, over the boundary of where they've cut and where they haven't cut. And I'm just going to go on a little walk in these woods. I just really can't understand how people can dislike cedars so much that they're willing to strip the land of its ability to inspire people. And they're just a nice, just makes for a nice woods when you have this mix of hardwood and cedar. So you can see that the hardwoods are coexisting. A couple of oaks, and they're coexisting quite well with the cedar. And you can see that the hardwoods are overtopping the cedar, so there's already a natural succession going on here. In fact, the cedar trees are probably a necessary first step for the hardwoods to come back. They're a pioneer species. They have a very fibrous root system that enables them to hold back the soil. They're great for erosion control, and if you hold back the soil, you can also improve the soil. The irony is that those areas where they've cut and already dismantled the woods, probably the best thing that they could do in that area is to plant cedar trees. Here's a nice chinkapin oak, I think. They want to encourage oaks and hickories with this project, but it seems that bringing their big skidders down here is only going to damage the soil, that which supports the oaks and the cedars. Here's another place where cedars and hardwoods are coexisting very peacefully together. You've got some tall cedar trees, but they're tall, but you can see that the hardwoods, like this red oak here, is overtopping it. It seems like the hardwoods are already taking over here. And cedar trees, and they're referring to this project as habitat improvement. Cedar trees provide a wonderful cover for all kinds of birds and mammals. The berries they produce are very high energy. There are over 50 species of birds in our area that eat these berries, along with mammals such as fox and rabbits. The cedar waxwing is named after the cedar tree, and the cedar berries can pass through a cedar waxwing's gut in 12 seconds, and then that's the seeds that pass through these birds' guts are 3 times more likely to germinate. There are many bird species, including robins and mourning doves, that like to build their nests in cedar trees. Many other species that roost in them. I remember once I was startled walking by a cedar tree when it exploded into the wings. It must have been 100 robins. Just seems like the scope of this project is very narrow. And cedar trees have a real stringy bark, as you can see, and squirrels like to, and other mammals like to use that bark for making their nests. Every once in a while I have this quixotic notion that I'll think of something that will stop this project, and one of those ideas is that I've had this thought, well, maybe they'll have this epiphany that, well, you know, squirrels plant oak forests, and if they knew that squirrels depend on or like to use cedar tree bark to make their nests, it might occur to them, well, if there are no squirrels here, then how are we going to have our highly anticipated oak hickory forest? I just like walking in the woods. I think it's important to have just wild areas that are comfortable to walk through. I think I just heard a cedar tree falling. I wish I could save these trees somehow. I'm working on a novel that has a magical realism element to it, about a girl who goes inside a tree. I thought about that as recently I've been reading about cedar trees and found out that the Cherokee believe that their ancestors lived in cedar trees, and among Eastern Native American societies, the cedar is one of the 4 sacred medicines, and the burning cedar wood was used in purification ceremonies. And if spiritual or medicinal reasons, I want to mention that they used the cedar tree for all sorts of ailments, including arthritis, making a poultice out of the berries, and it would boil the leaves and the twigs to help with coughs. I don't think we've quite learned how to appreciate the cedar tree. If spiritual or medicinal reasons aren't enough to stop this project, there's one other fact about the cedar tree, and that is that cedar berries provide the flavoring for gin. And so my latest quixotic thought for stopping this project is maybe if the logging officials, every one of them here, were devoted gin drinkers, and they knew about that, maybe they would be less inclined to cut them down. I think it's important to hold on to hope, regardless of how implausible the hope is. Okay, I'm about finished here. I'm close to where they're working, but I do want to mention that cedar trees are very hardy species, and that they can survive both drought and very wet conditions, and also they can tolerate, unlike a lot of plants, they can tolerate the higher carbon levels in the air. And it seems that in this time of climate unpredictability that the eastern red cedar could be the cedar for our time. We should be looking at them to help us get into a future with a livable planet. And it seems like we need to be making that choice sooner rather than later. Looks like we've got I'm here where they're logging now. Yeah, this is the future that we're on track to head into. Is a future of simply resource extraction and sending these cedar logs. I haven't mentioned that these cedar logs are all going to China to be ground up for mulch. Yeah, we have to be able to change our economy somehow, so it's on the side of preserving life